Okay, we should probably actually talk about politics on this channel, right? At some point, that's something we should do. Okay, well, hi everybody. For those who don't know, I'm still doing a subathon. It is now day 11. I have slept. I have, in fact, done that. So just don't think that I'm torturing myself by not sleeping. It's just practically every waking moment is on a camera, and, you know, bleh. I may post an update about the subathon stuff separately to this. We'll see. We'll see. But with that said, let's go ahead and talk about today's topic, which is Turf Island, I guess is the best way to put it. And we will talk about that as soon as we are done with the fan art section. So this one is from Magpie with Pebbles. They are apt to steal those, or they are apt to steal it. Wait, is that the word? I don't care. I don't know. I don't care. Also, it's a cat Suris. It's really fucking cute. I like it. It's great. Anyways, as always, if you want your fan art to be shown on any episode, the best way to do so is drop it into the fan art section of the channel. And with that said, let's roll the intro. And now that the intro is over, bleh, let's go ahead and talk about this. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and give a big shout out and thank you to Salem Sky. They are the ones who worked on this particular model. So now we have 4 modelers for the channel. We have Bon Bon Berry for 3D models, Salem Sky for the Virgin Killer Sweater model. We have the original and fall models that are done by Remixin, and then we have the slime model done by Suzu. So that is a lot. And then of course this Catboy Milk here done by Yarakoro, as well as the studio stuff. So yay! I'm in VTuber debt. Okay. Turf Island, let's go. Also, Salem, I was giving you a shout out. Shoosh. So the BBC posted this about 3 days ago. And it's the title of this is, you can read it. I can read it. But I don't want to read further. It says, we're being pressured into sex by some trans women. So, what do you think we're going to see in this particular video? Let's find out. So, scrolling through, is a lesbian transphobic if she does not want to have sex with trans women? Some lesbians say that they are increasingly being pressured and coerced into accepting trans women as partners, and then shunned and even threatened for speaking out. Several have spoken to the BBC, along with trans women who are concerned about the issue too. Ah, yes, they have their tokens. Okay, so let's talk about this. If anyone pressures you into a relationship that you are not comfortable with, that is a thing that you should be wary of, no matter what. Framing it as a specifically trans issue is not really that fucking fair. Not to mention, so people have this idea that sexuality is cut and dry, that like, oh, you like girls, therefore you must also like trans women specifically. And sometimes that can be true. More often than not, we are attracted to particular phenotypes or schemas of what we think a potential partner might be. For someone who is straight, some trans women might actually meet those phenotypes. Some trans women might do that. Others might not. It just depends on who you are. So whenever somebody goes, like, I would never date a trans person, you can show them a picture of somebody who, like, fits literally all of their criteria and say, would you date this person? And if they go, are they trans? Then you could go, okay, it shouldn't matter at this point. They literally fit every single bill. Like, every single one. Also, Freya, on this particular topic, I see that you have decided. I see you've decided to drop something terrible. Jesus fucking Christ. For 50,001 channel points, Cracknot and Freya both have dropped owls. Fucking owl. Owl? Really, really pertinent topic there, guys. Everybody's really been saving up those points during the subathon. Anyway, the point is, I don't like it when somebody says that they just won't date trans people, because that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe it's just my demisexual ass. Maybe that's what it is. Who the fuck knows at this point? Anyways, So framing this as trans people specifically are pressuring other people into dating them, there's a lot more that goes into dating than just, does this person meet your phenotype? Does this person meet your ideal, like, as far as a person looks or body structure or anything like that? There's much more that goes into it. For instance, again, I'm Demi. I cannot see past somebody's personality. It's just something that I can't fucking do. I don't have that ability. You can be the most drop-dead gorgeous, physically attractive person on the planet, and your personality can literally make my brain short-circuit and go, they're ugly. That is what my brain does. I cannot help that. So maybe it's just that part of my brain that goes, I don't see the problem here, outside of people pressuring people into relationships. But let's go ahead and read the story itself. Warning. Story contains strong language. Ah, yes, they might say the fuck word. Let's go. I've had someone say that they would rather kill me than Hitler, says 24-year-old Jenny. They said they would strangle me with a belt if they were in a room with me and Hitler. That was so bizarrely violent, just because I won't have sex with trans women. Okay, so here's a problem I have. This individual person you are describing does not need to be in relationships with anyone. This individual person you are describing has effectively said that because you will not have sex with them, they will commit violence on you, which is basically like coerced sex. And we have a word for that. It's called rape. That's bad. The framing of this article? We are being pressured into sex by some trans women. The way the article is framed is set up in such a way that when you read it, it feels like, oh, this will validate TERFs. This will validate anti-trans people. But the actual stuff that's being talked about here literally has nothing to do with being trans. Because there are cis people right now who, if somebody, as an example, I can give you a cis person who would be violent with somebody for not having sex with them. And they would go, I don't get it. You're straight, I'm straight, why won't you have sex with me? And then they get violent. That person exists. That has happened to people. There are probably people watching right now who have had this happen to them. That's not a good thing. That's not a thing that we should be, encouraging at fucking all. But people have had it happen to them. And the fact that we have people who have had that happen to them and the trans part of the conversation literally factored nothing into it means that here, it shouldn't factor in either. But the framing is there. Let's continue. Jenny is a lesbian woman. She says that she's only sexually attracted to women who are biologically female and have a vagina. Okay, well, there's their phenotype. This is the person that they want. Now, granted, I could probably find a trans female that fits every descriptor of a person that they would like to have sex with or like to be in a relationship with, and it might short-circuit them. Doesn't mean that they're owed that. So she's sexually attracted to, quote, women, so women that are trans men? No, it's basically this just means she's attracted to, oh, wait, no, you're right. You're right. Wait, no, she's not, no, it's not wrong. It's not right. So if women's the gendered category, then biological female is the sexed category, and then vagina is just strictly the phenotype, then no, she probably wouldn't be attracted to trans men. Or maybe she would. I don't know. Usually when I see things like this, people haven't actually thought this through that much, or have not been introduced to enough trans people. Who the fuck knows? She therefore only has sex and relationships with women who are biologically female. I fucking hate this term. I really fucking hate this term, because it puts an arbitrary lock under who we can and can't call women. Because you see this shit from, like, Ben Shapiro all the time. Like, I'll use somebody's pronouns, but they'll always be snide about it and be like, but you're not biologically female. Who the fuck cares? You don't rip into somebody's goddamn chromosomes in order to figure out if they're a girl. Like, that's just not what you fucking do. Jenny doesn't think this should be controversial, but not everyone agrees. She's been described as transphobic, a genital fetishist, a pervert, and a TERF, a trans exclusionary radical feminist. All right, so the fact that you personally won't date a trans person might not mean that you're TERF. I guarantee you, though, there is probably something else in that conversation. Like, okay, there's a difference between, hey, I'm not attracted to trans people. There's a difference to that in that statement to a different statement. If I handed a different statement to you, like, trans women aren't attractive because they're not real women. That is a statement that I would say automatically makes you a fucking TERF. Like, at that point, no, I'm perfectly fine with that label being applied to you. Because, again, the initial statement, I have a personal attraction that does not include your particular category of person. That's uncontroversial. But there are other statements that tend to happen there. Like, let's say this person went on a date with a trans person, and they were super attracted to them, and they liked everything about them, and this was all wonderful, and then they happened to say something like, I'm glad you're not one of the transes. And then the person had to reveal they're trans, and then suddenly, yeah, at that point, of course, somebody's going to call you out on being a bit of a fucking bigot. Bigot? You're a bigot. Freya says, biologically using what definition? Gonadal, phenotypical, hormonal, genetic, or chromosomal. The latter two are mostly useless for adults. Well, yeah, like, and the ones that I usually see are, like, in what way are you biologically male or female? Are we talking gametal? Are we talking, gonadal? Are we talking genital? Are we talking phenotypical? Are we talking chromosomal? Like, it doesn't... There's a bunch of different ways we use to determine sex. What the fuck does biological female mean when intersex people exist? That's another thing. Would this person actually date somebody who doesn't have the correct chromosomal alignment, but definitely has a vagina, definitely produces estrogen naturally, and like fits everything phenotypically, but then there's just shit on their inside that doesn't match up? Because, I mean, there are intersex people who fit that definition. People with Klinefelters have issues like this. Like, would this person date that person? Because if so, they just haven't thought this fucking thing through. Now, continuing on the article, there's a common argument they try to use that goes, what if you met a woman in a bar and she's really beautiful and you got on really, really well and you went home and discovered she had a penis? Oh, the argument that I just brought up. Would you just not be interested, says Jenny, who lives in London and works in fashion. She goes, yes, because even if someone seems attractive at first, you can go off on them. I just don't possess the capacity to be sexually attracted to people who are biologically male, regardless of how they identify. Again, I don't think that you've thought this through entirely, but I'm not going to tell people what they can and can't be attracted to. But, again, there are people who have vaginas, who are assigned male at birth, who are trans, and probably fit every category you like, and because they have a vagina, you guys might have sex multiple times without realizing that, oh, wait, hold on, this person is technically, arbitrarily, categorically not in your category. You can't ask somebody who came to a position without using logic to use logic to get away from the position. I mean, you can, though. Sometimes when people haven't used logic to get to a position, you can use logic to walk them away from it. Because sometimes it's just something they haven't considered, and that, just happens. That really does just happen sometimes. Continuing on, I became aware of this particular issue after I wrote an article about sex lies and legal consent. Several people got in touch with me, and there was a huge problem for lesbians, who were being pressured to accept the idea that a penis can be a female sex organ. Have you heard of the clitoris? Yes. Yes, it can. The clit is just a small dick. It literally, your ovaries, they are testicles. They are just inside you. This is news to people? Do people not realize these are like the same things? It's also one of the reasons why I'm just going to throw this out there to some guys who may not realize there's a reason that when you're having sex with your partner, if you're only thrusting, that they have to maybe masturbate after the sex. I'm just going to throw that out there because, again, the clit is a dick. Just imagine if somebody like violently thrusted into your scrotum repeatedly. It's not going to do it to you all the time. It's really not going to. But continuing on. Ultimately, it has been difficult to determine the true scale of the problem because there's been little research on the topic. Only one survey to my knowledge. However, those affected have told me that the pressure comes from a minority of trans women, as well as activists who aren't necessarily trans themselves. Okay. So, reading that, at least they recognize that there's a minority of people who even hold this particular issue at all. Said they described being harassed and silenced if they tried to discuss the issue openly. I received online abuse myself when I tried to find interviews using social media. Okay. Wait, hold on. So you received online abuse when you tried to find interviews using social media. Let's go ahead and... So this is going on YouTube? Yeah, no. So the reason this is going on YouTube, Ellie... Here, I'll show you the article. The article is from the BBC, and it reads, "We're being pressured into sex by some trans women." I disagree with the framing of this article very, very fucking greatly. Because again, there are trans people who fit every single definition that someone would find attractive, and yet somebody would go, okay, but they're trans. And then you go, okay, but what are the things you want? And they go, well, I want big breasts. I want brunette hair. They even like give a fucking eye color. They go, well, I want them to have a. I want them to have a vagina. And you're like, okay, cool. This person has all of that. They go, but they're trans. Yes. Like it could be their perfect fucking person, but that arbitrary thing is the thing that makes them angry. Continuing on. Remember the super straight thing from earlier this year? I do remember that, Kira Sakura, but I will say this right now. Isn't it funny how that kind of died out, almost as if super straight was a phase? I'm sorry, was that too much? Did that hit the nail on the head a little too much? How's it going, Kidder Doodle? Okay. Continuing on in the article, said, when Amy explained her reasons for not wanting to, her girlfriend... Okay, so hold on. One of the lesbian women I spoke to, 24-year-old Amy, told me that she experienced verbal abuse from her own girlfriend, a bisexual woman, who wanted them to have a threesome with a trans woman. When Amy explained her reasons for not wanting to, her girlfriend became angry. The first thing she called me was transphobic. She immediately jumped to make me feel guilty about not wanting to sleep with someone. Okay, again, the problem here is not... The problem here has nothing to do with a trans person, though. It circumstantially had a trans person in the conversation, but the actual problem is that your partner tried to push you into a threesome you didn't want. That's the actual fucking problem. What? I don't... What? I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. Said, I can hear their male vocal cords. I can see their male jawline. I know under their clothes there's male genitalia. These are physical realities. Okay, so let's do this one by fucking one reading this. Okay, look. Male vocal cords. If somebody has undergone puberty blockers while growing up, they actually don't get to go through the male puberty that produces, quote, male vocal cords. Like, that's a thing that they can avoid completely. Their male jawline, you can have that surgically constructed. Not to mention, there are people like fucking ContraPoints and Blair White who look... There is functionally no difference. I see no difference between them and cis women. I don't. Like, my brain does not register a difference. So this whole, like... This is a talking point that I see all the fucking time where people just go, we always know. We always know. I'm like, no the fuck you don't. You don't always know. There are cis women who have big jawlines. Fucking... This cis person tried to pressure me into sex. I didn't want it. It must be the fault of the transes. Yeah, no, fucking... Her cis girlfriend tried to push her into a threesome she didn't want to do. And that was it. Also, Ellie, are you still around? Because you said you wanted to go off. This is the thing you wanted to go off about. I'm curious. Like 10 minutes? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Well, what's the worst that could happen? Let me go ahead and pull up. Okay, hello.
Hello, a cis is about to go off.
I mean, we're both cis here, but it's fine. Let's do it.
Who said I was cis?
You said a cis is about to go off, so... Just cis in different ways.
Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Anyways, I have always wanted to speak out about this fucking issue because, you know, I'm always on TikTok, and while, yes, getting information from TikTok might not be reliable, I do follow a lot of trans creators. I know what you meant, Suris.
Yeah, no, Kurosawa was like, sis, I think, yeah, I know, it was a word play. It was a word play.
I know. But yes, I follow a lot of trans creators on TikTok, and I've seen the stories of what they go through, and it's just, oh my god, it pisses me off that people are thinking that trans women or men are trying to force themselves onto these cis people who... There's not going to be any fucking difference. If a trans person goes through the surgery, they're a woman or a man, no matter what.
I'd say that even before going through the surgery, like
before going through surgery.
My thing that I pointed out earlier in the video is like most people seem to have this arbitrary divide between you are attracted to trans people or you're not. When usually it's more that they have a phenotype that they're attracted to, and they don't think that a trans person fits that phenotype. And while that's fair, you can't control who you're attracted to arbitrarily say that it's because they're trans, when we see things like this part in the article that says, I can hear their male vocal cords, despite the fact that puberty blockers stop a male puberty from happening, therefore they wouldn't have that. I can see their male jawline, despite the fact that, I'm sorry, but not all fucking men have a male jawline, let alone... So I don't agree with either of these things, and they go, I know under their clothes there's a male genitalia. Not if they've had bottom surgery. No, the fuck they don't. So I'm just like, every single thing that you think is a physical reality can be literally changed, or you could just be wrong about.
There are people in these, like, TikTok comments, like, there's this one creator who is a trans male, and he, like, if you looked at him, you would not know that he's trans, which is the point, is the fucking point.
At that point, it's just like, can you really tell? Can you tell? Like, at what point do you have to admit that your transdar doesn't fucking work?
Yeah, and, like, there's these people in the comment section just going like, oh, you're always gonna be a girl no matter what. Fucking look at him. Does he look like a girl?
Like just imagine him just walking around, and just imagine there's just a little bit of makeup on the, because sometimes there's the under surgery that you can see for, like, the chest. Like, just imagine them walking around, there's a little bit of makeup there so you can't tell that part alone. And they're just walking around, they've got, like, this 8-foot, or not 8 feet, but 8-inch fucking horse cock. And they're just, like, flapping it around with their just bare chest everywhere, all oiled up, and you see somebody, like, looking at it like it's Baywatch, going, oh my god, he's so hot, and then you go, okay, but he's AFAB. Just imagine watching their brains melt.
Oh my god. I don't understand people and the world and how people can look at someone who's trans, who've had the surgeries, who have gone through all the heartache and the issues that comes with being trans, and say that you're still what you were born as. It's not fucking correct. It's not. No trans women or trans men are pressuring people into having sex with them.
At least not at a rate. So I'd say I don't agree with that statement, only because I would say that at least not at a rate that is disproportional to how many cis people already do that.
Yes, that's true.
Because there are people who because, like, the fucking thing that was pointed out here, where the person said that, like, her bisexual lesbian lover wanted to have a threesome, and specifically wanted to have a threesome with a trans person, and she said no, and then she got called transphobic, and I'm like, okay, but now you're angry at random-ass trans people because your girlfriend tried pressuring you into a threesome you didn't want. Your girlfriend's the problem here, not the trans people. I'm sorry.
I do agree with that. Oh my god, that statement just fucking pisses me off. There are just situations where, like, just because there's a trans person involved, they're always going to be the scapegoat. And it just doesn't make sense to me. Just because they're different in their own way doesn't mean that they should be used as a scapegoat. Because the girlfriend in that situation that was pressuring her should have been the issue there, as you've said. And yet, the trans person is being blamed for wanting to be included in this threesome. It just blows my mind. And there's like, it breaks my heart that there's trans creators out there who they go on a date and they're scared to comment about them being trans because they're going to get hurt in some sort of way. Because there have been many stories of trans women getting beaten up by men when they find out that they're trans.
Can I introduce you to a very, very terrible concept? Do you know about the panic defense law?
I do. Yes, I
Okay.
do know about the panic defense law.
So I was just double checking the PDF to see which states had actually started putting in laws that say you can't use the gay and trans panic defense laws. There's still more states that allow you to use those defenses in court to lower your sentence. So yeah, no, I'm sad that you already know about this terrible fucking concept. But for those who are unaware, I think it's about 35 states right now. It could be less. Hopefully it's less. But there are states where if you get into bed with a trans person for something like a one-night stand, and it is the first time you guys are doing something, and they take off their pants, and you see something you didn't expect there, and you attack them violently, in a court, you actually have a legal defense. We used to have the gay panic defense. There's also now it's the trans panic defense. They're functionally the same thing. Your lawyer basically argues that you had a state of momentary psychosis, and therefore you are less responsible for your actions. Yeah, it's gross, but it is a real thing that real people use as a real defense in a real court of law. And
it's fucking disgusting.
And behind Ellie's cat head here, I have the list of states that do not allow the defense. And unfortunately, both Florida and Georgia do not have any law that stops you from using the trans panic defense.
I hate that.
Yep, but that is the reality, unfortunately. And if you look at when certain trans panic laws even started coming into place, these are all very recent. California didn't ban it until 2014. Colorado, 2020. Connecticut didn't ban it until 2019. Fucking the District of Columbia passed on 2020, but because of timing, it was actually only enacted at 2021. Like, this is a thing that can be used by people right now, and it sucks because it literally makes dating more dangerous for trans people. And this is one of the things that I've tried to point out when people get mad at like bathroom bills and shit. Statistically, trans people are more likely to be sexually assaulted when they go into the bathroom that is outside of what their identity is, because a lot of them usually also try to physically pass when they are going out. So if a predator sees them in a room, they don't see somebody who is one of them. They see a minority. They see someone who can be a victim for them. And again, we have stats that show that trans people are more likely to be sexually assaulted, not more likely to be predators. And yet, we live in a world where politicians argue against them being predators all the fucking time. Like this fucking article. Again, the things that are shown in this article are not things that are exclusive to trans people. These are things that happen in regular-ass relationships. There are people who try to pressure their partner into group sex that they don't want to do. Just throwing that out there, I've had that fucking experience where I've been pressured into doing a 5-person orgy that I just did not want to do. And, I mean, at least for me, I was able to avoid the damn thing. Not everybody has that luxury.
Yep. Just because trans people are a minority and they're not part of the mass group of cis people and even like some cases heterosexual people, it they get mistreated and misgendered all the time. That's why we see trans people wanting to hide their identities. And the only reason why they get caught doing that is because of the scars that they have, or because they get outed in some way or another. And there are barely any proper laws that protect these people. And it just breaks my heart. It breaks my goddamn heart, because like the amount of stories that I've seen and heard of trans people being killed or being brutally beaten, society's barely doing anything fast enough to protect trans women or men.
Well, and in certain areas, like especially over in the UK, like while they may be more progressive in certain areas, especially where like healthcare is concerned, kind of sort of the NHS is currently being defunded. That's a different topic entirely. I want to stay as focused as I can be. There's a reason that the nickname we have for the UK right now is Turf Island. It's awkward, but Simple Cat Girl says, I do want to say that this dating issue also doesn't recognize that most trans people do date other trans people because of this violent shit. True, and this creates an issue as well. So, okay, a little bit of like post Stonewall history. There's a reason why the stereotype that gay men are very promiscuous came to be. And the reason that we got that stereotype in the first place was because there were so few places they could actually, like, meet other people and be open about it. They had to resort to places where the anticipation was that you were going to go home with a sex partner. When that was the only environment, like, imagine an environment where nobody could date outside of Tinder. Of course there's going to be a fucking stereotype everybody's horny. That is a direct product of them being marginalized. So then you have the same issue with trans people, where their dating pool gets smaller because in many cases it's dangerous to date outside of that dating pool. And that sucks. Also, the sub command is not going to give you anything, MC Poto. You can click the link. It will take you to nothing because we already hit our goals. But was there anything else you wanted to say about this particular issue, Ellie? Because I know you popped in, like, swinging.
All I will say, so you can get back to your own ranting and whatnot, for me personally, because I am pansexual, I will date anyone. I do not care if they are trans, or if they are cis, or if they are non-binary. I just want people to know that there are people like me out there who are going to be supportive in every single fucking way. Because if you're a trans man or a trans woman, you're still a man, you're still a woman, and no one can tell you fucking differently.
Well, I can certainly agree with that. If you're a trans in my audience, you're valid. Now, granted, there may be other things I disagree with you on, but definitely not on the validity of your identity. I know there are certain people in my chat who have opinions about which side of the OWO war they sit on, and they're wrong, and that's fine.
Ooh.
They can be. Get out of my house.
Alright, I'm gonna leave though. Alright, I love you,
Okay,
Suris.
see ya. But no, point is, there's another thing about this article that I hate. Look at how long this damn thing is. Look at how long this is. They just keep going. They just keep going. And they point out here things like, you know, they have the LGB Alliance here. Wait, really? They have actual shit from the LGB Alliance in here? Really? Oh, I guess. So Stonewall's the largest LGBT organization in UK and Europe. I asked the charity about this issue, but was unable to provide anyone for an interview. However, in a statement, Chief Executive Nancy Kelly likened not wanting to date trans people to not wanting to date people of color, fat people, or disabled people. I guess it is kind of the same in that way, because it's like literally people who are not in your particular phenotype. Categorically, sure. She said sexuality is personal and something which is unique to each of us. There's no right way to be a lesbian, and only we can know who we're attracted to. Yeah, nope, I agree with that one. Again, I have met people who are lesbian. They are only sexually attracted to women, but were either aro or demi or something else in their romantic part of their spectrum, and it allowed them to date at least one person who was not, and not feel terribly weird about it, outside of course, sexual encounters. And they'd still be a lesbian, and there'd be nothing wrong with them categorizing themselves that way. And I know there's going to be one person in my comment section who gets really mad and says that that's not a real thing, that didn't happen. Okay, cool. Then I didn't actually meet lesbians who actually told me about these situations. Cool. Then I guess these people were figments of my imagination. Specifically, I can even remember where they were working at the time when we had that conversation. But, go off, Queen, in the comment section. Do your thing. But where's the part where it says about the LGB Alliance here? LGB Alliance says it's particularly concerned about younger and therefore more vulnerable lesbians being pressured into relationships with trans women. Again, the trans women part is not... okay, even if you were pressured into saying, I will date a trans woman, why the fuck would you then go out and, seek someone out to date specifically to make yourself not look like a bigot? That's really dumb. That's like going, I'm not a racist, so I'm going to go find specifically a black woman to date so they can be my token not racist card. What? What? Fucking, okay. Said it's very disturbing that you find people saying it doesn't happen, nobody pressures anybody to go with anybody else, but we know it's not the case. Again, I'm not saying nobody pressures anybody to go with anybody else. I literally have said that 5 or 6 different times, because it's not that people pressure you into dating because they're trans. Assholes pressure people into dating. That's a fucking problem. Again, has nothing to do with them being trans. You being told you're a bigot for not wanting to date trans people as a concept, as an idea, is not the same thing as an individual trans person trying to force you. This is not the fucking same thing. Said, we don't have figures, but we're frequently contacted by lesbians who relate their experience in LGBT groups and on dating sites. Well, I'm sorry that you guys have had awkward dating experiences, but so have I. I literally had to go to therapy, but, let's not even talk about any of that. Is there anything else in this article that's of worth? Who else has been approached? Oh, of course! Riley Dennis. They're really pulling out the punches here. Another YouTuber, Riley Dennis, made the cotton ceiling, transphobia, sex, and dating. She said, I want to talk about the idea that there are a number of people out there who say they're not attracted to trans people, and I think that it's transphobic because at any time you're making a broad generalized statement about a group of people that typically is not coming from a good place. Yeah, no, that's exactly my criticism as well. Again, when you say I'm not attracted to trans people, I could probably find you a trans person who fits every single bit of every single phenotypical bit of your attraction model. Every single one. And then you would go, but are they trans? And I would go, does it matter? Like, you want a woman with a vagina? I will find you one with a vagina. You want a woman who doesn't have a, quote, male jawline? We can find that too. Trans people come in a variety of shapes and sizes. This is why when somebody's like, would you date a trans person? I have dated people who are non-binary. And if I date somebody who's trans later, so be it. But it doesn't fucking matter. Again, we are less attracted to the cisness or the transness of somebody and more attracted to things that actually fit within our attraction model. I'm demisexual. My attraction model is very, very centered around people's personality. Jesus, it just keeps going! What's the actual conclusion of this article? What is genital preferences is not a fancy way of saying I'm transphobic. I mean, yeah. Again, the clit's just a small penis. I'm sorry. The clit's just a small penis. And he says she got contacted by Twitter by young lesbians who do not know how to exit a relationship with a trans woman. It's the same way you exit relationships with cis women. You just say, hey, we're done dating. That's all. That's how that works. I don't know how to exit the relationship because my partner's trans. The transness of your partner had nothing to do with it, Karen. Just say, hey, I don't want to be part of this relationship anymore. Granted, that can be a complicated thing. Leaving a relationship is not easy. Yeah, the clit literally grows when you go on T. Just throwing that out there as well. The clit literally expands when you're on T. But okay. Send a breakup text? Yeah. Dude, everybody that, like, gets mad at breakup texts and says that, like, you need to have the courage to just talk to them yourself, there are abusive relationships that exist. I think breakup texts are completely acceptable in those situations. I really do. A really important thing is for us to be able to talk these things through. Shutting down these conversations and calling them bigotry is really unhelpful. It shouldn't be beyond... Okay, so, but what conversation is there? When you say, I'm not attracted to trans people, that is the conversation stopper, not the conversation starter. But okay, thanks, BBC. Thank you for the wonderful article. I'm so glad that Turf fucking Island exists. Ugh. I don't know how many times I have to say that attraction is not a simple cut and dry thing. I don't know how many times I have to say that. I don't know how many times I have to point out that just look up a fucking dual attraction model. Just do that when you're done with this video. We're already at the 40-minute mark. Dear God. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I was very ranty here, and also I'm gonna have to provide a link in the description now because I didn't expect that to be a collaboration, but there we are. Sometimes cat girls go nya. You know, like so. Oh, that's Yandere. Nope, this is the one. I look so traumatized. I look so traumatized like this. Oh, dear God. Okay. Anyways, as always, if you want to support the channel and what I do, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you haven't already. Check the description for multiple ways that you can do check there for multiple ways you can support the channel. There we go. Those are the words I'm looking for. God, it's day 11, isn't it? It feels like it's day 11. Anyways, as always, everyone, instant end of video tagline here. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. If you want access to behind-the-scenes content for the channel, please consider checking out my Patreon. I do weekly vlogs over there, where I give real-life updates to what's going on behind the scenes on the channel, stuff that you don't really get over here, and even on Twitch. Patreon also helps the channel's stability a whole lot. Without Patreon, I wouldn't be able to do this at all. Especially with the kind of content that I do, neither YouTube nor Twitch are the most stable sources of income. If you are a $20 and up patron, then you will be featured on the ending slides as shown in the beginning of the end credits. If you want to catch the streams where all this content comes from, then consider heading over to Twitch and following. And if you want to continue watching over here on YouTube, maybe consider clicking one of the end screen videos. And once again, I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me over on my channel. I wouldn't be able to do literally anything that I'm doing over here on YouTube without each and every one of you. So, thank you.